Man, I love this. I love South Texas.
The Kansas City Royals select Blake Mitchell.
Corpus Christi John Paul II are the state champions.
South Texas, we're super proud of the baseball, and it's only going to get better.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the South Texas High School Baseball Podcast. Today, we're in a familiar spot if you are from the Sinton area and you've come and hit here before. But for those who don't know, we are at the Mitchell residence, and we're here with Kevin Mitchell, a legend to some, a very popular name in the Sinton area. And if you know him, then you probably know more than I do about him because we've really only known each other for a couple years now. So I'm going to be doing a lot of learning in our conversation today. But Kevin, I appreciate you making the time and having me out here to film this. And I'm really excited for what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. I greatly appreciate you coming out here and visiting with me. And hopefully we can get some things out there that people want to know and maybe some little secrets that somebody wants to know.
Yeah, exactly. We'll touch on a lot of different stuff. First thing, you're a game warden.
Correct.
So you get to make your own schedule for the most part.
For the most part, yep. I got 2 days off during the week.
Okay.
And then other than that, it's just, hey, go to work whenever most people are out doing fishing, hunting, or boating, whatever that is. And sometimes it just depends on the time of year and kind of go from there.
So your schedule, is it pretty consistent for the most part? Are those 2 days off? Do you get to pick when those are? Does it vary by week?
No, those are always set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just whatever the captain puts out there.
And how does it work being a game warden? I know that so one of my former roommates, he really wanted to be a game warden when he was in school, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the primary requirement is a bachelor's degree.
Correct. Got to have a bachelor's degree from whatever college or whatever degree that may be. I know in my game warden academy we had guys that had accounting degrees. Mm-hmm. Mine is in wildlife management.
Okay.
But it's very competitive to get in. That's the hard part.
That was another thing that he was talking about.
Very hard to get in. It took me 4 years, 3 tries.
Okay.
I had one of my I guess counterparts of the one of the cadets that were in the game warden academy ended up graduating and became a game warden. Out of that same 50th class, he tried 9 times over 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was really determined to become a game warden. So,
and before you became a game warden, what were you doing before that?
I worked just kind of some like odds and ends. I was 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Just graduated college. Didn't really know. I knew I wanted to become a game warden, but just kind of that I guess that void between wanting to start my career and graduating college. So I was kind of waiting on the game warden academy. So I worked for Brazoria County Sheriff's Department. Yeah.
And is that Brazoria County, is that up near Houston?
Yes, it's like the Alvin, Manville, Angleton area, those kind of the main towns in there.
Okay, cool. So we'll talk about your background a little bit. Tell us where you're from, where you grew up, where you spent a lot of time, where you went to high school. Tell us a little bit more about your background.
Sure. Graduated from Calallen High School. They're kind of by an elementary school right across the street from Oil Belt. So we grew up pretty much living on a baseball field.
Yeah.
Me and my brother and all of our friends, we were always there every summer. I mean, parents would leave us at home. That's kind of what happened back in the day, right? They would go to work and we would stay at home, and that's all we would do is be outside all the time playing baseball.
Yeah. Did you play any other sports growing up?
Played a little bit of football in middle school, and then broke my ankle and said, okay, I had kind of enough of it. But yeah, it's just, I like the baseball side of it, and so that's where I kind of stuck with baseball.
That injury, that broken ankle, that was one of my big fears. That's why I didn't play football. I played everything, but I couldn't get injured playing other sports. But I knew that football, I probably had a little bit more of a likelihood of getting injured or breaking something, especially me because I was not I didn't have the most meat on my bones, and I was just primarily bones in high school.
Yeah.
So that's why I avoided football.
Yeah.
Look, in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have played just, for the memories. I probably would have gotten a little stronger a little earlier.
Sure.
Speaking of football, Sinton has a pretty big game this Friday, right?
They do. We're hopefully the whole town will kind of come out and go support the Pirates, in which they do a phenomenal job. I've never seen such a small town just show up in droves just to watch, a football game, a baseball game. It's pretty cool. It's pretty special.
And you've got Clay playing. He's a junior this year. He's looking at potentially playing in college, and I know that you guys have been going around to some different visits. You were recently in Lubbock, right, at Texas Tech. What has that been like going on? I know that the last several years you probably went on a bunch of visits with Blake for baseball. What's it like now getting to go on visits with Clay for football?
A completely different atmosphere. It's you didn't have those for baseball where you just come for a game day visit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot different. You go there and there might be 15, 50 other guys there with you. Just depends on how large or how small the school is. Texas Tech, there was probably, 30 other guys there.
Okay.
That were all the recruits. And, it's just different. Coaches come out and talk to them, and they kind of measure them up a little bit. You can see they kind of look them up and down and it's just different. The baseball world and football world, there is nothing alike. They are completely different animals.
Do you feel like, from your perspective, the football world is a little less personal because the football roster is so much bigger than a baseball roster? And like you just said, you got 30 guys at a visit for a game day. Do you feel like there's maybe not as much attention given to the football guys as opposed to the baseball guys?
Probably so. But also you got to look at Clay. He's an offensive lineman, so he's not one of those skill guys. He's not the quarterback. He's not the running back. It's just a little bit different. For like baseball, they recruit up the middle, right? So it's catchers, pitchers, shortstops, second basemen, center fielders. So those guys get a little bit more TLC than a first baseman, a third baseman. And Clay's kind of like that, where we're using the analogy for baseball. He would be like the first baseman, of the baseball. He's just the guy that gets in the trenches and does the work and is kind of silent about it,
Yeah. Well, yeah, on that note, Sinton, big game against Wimberley this Friday. Hopefully they get the win this year. I know that it's been a pretty great year, so nothing would be better than obviously a state championship, but breaking through the state semifinals, you got to get there first.
Sure.
So, well, cool. Yeah, we'll be watching and supporting you guys. But all right, back to some baseball stuff.
All
right. So, did you go to high school there at Calallen?
We went to high school at Calallen, sure did, and then from there, I wanted to go play college baseball. Of course, every kid, hey, I'm gonna go play pro ball, But then the reality starts hitting. Oh my gosh, like I'm a senior. Back then, it was a little bit different. There was a little bit of the whole select baseball, but not a whole lot of it. That's where the Sandcrabs started.
Mm-hmm.
In the summers, I'd play for the Sandcrabs underneath Tyler Wilt, who's now a scout for the Washington Nationals. Also, Coach Mark Medina, that's coaches there at Calallen. He was one of our coaches, so it was him and Tyler Wilt. And, so we would play with Sandcrabs and enjoyed that time. Got a couple offers. One was to Texas State or Southwest Texas back then to pitch.
Okay.
My shoulder was hurting my senior year, so I only pitched half the year. I knew something wasn't right with my shoulder. Every time I'd throw a ball, I could feel it. So I was like, man, I just don't know if I can go to college to go pitch. I had a really good, successful high school career, but I was like, man, I just don't know if I can do it. I got one offer from Vernon Junior College. If anybody knows where Vernon Junior College is, I didn't know how to look it up on a map. From Corpus, it was like 8 hours north.
Okay.
I was thinking, man, the facilities cannot be great in Vernon, Texas, right? So I was like, man, I really hope something else comes up, Then Alvin Community College gave me an offer and actually gave me a full ride. And I said, hey, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go, right? I remember I signed my letter of intent on the back of a tailgate in the parking lot by the baseball field at Alvin Community College. So, just small town, and then got there and actually matured, got stronger, grew a little bit more, and my career took off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you spend the 2 years there?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a JUCO. So We played in one of the better JUCO conferences.
Okay.
You know, it has San Jack, Galveston, Blinn, those type of teams in it.
Did it
was a
have
really good conference.
Did it have Wharton in it?
It did.
Okay. Last week I interviewed Andrew Hernandez. He's the pitching coach at Wharton. He went to Moody. He's a young guy. He's 24, and he's in his second year. So that episode is actually not out yet. But by the time this one's out, that one will be out.
Yeah.
So that was a cool conversation. We talked a lot about Wharton's facilities and stuff. But we were talking about the competitiveness of that, I guess conference or whatever league that the JUCO baseball is in that area. How competitive it is.
Back then, when I played, Wharton's field was what we call a Cracker Jack box. It was little.
Yeah.
Like dead center was 365.
Oh yeah.
Down the lines was, if I remember right, it was right at 300. It might have been 295. And every February, we would always go to Wharton to play, and the wind blew out. I loved it. It was fun.
Who wouldn't love it? Pitchers.
Right.
Okay, so then you spend also pull the mic a little bit closer. If you can. Okay, so you spend the 2 years at Alvin. Your recruitment, I guess, because you obviously want to continue playing.
Correct.
Right. What does your recruitment look like the second year you spend there at Alvin?
Man, it was kind of the first year. I matured a lot as a hitter. I had a pretty good offer to go to the University of Miami.
Okay.
There in the fall of my sophomore year. And I did not know this, but I do now. But Miami is a private school.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know that. And so when we were looking at all the financials about it and just, okay, how am I going to get there, right? Most of my school didn't transfer because it's a private school. So they were going to give me $13,000 a semester.
Okay.
And then
on the athletic side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I don't know. We didn't hardly get to all the how much it's going to cost. But so they're going to give me that per semester. But they said, hey, you can't come here for the fall. You need to take some more credits, and I was going to graduate with an associate's, and it wasn't enough to go to Miami. So I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. But anyway, well, whatever. So we were going to say, okay, hey, what do I need to do? And then they're like, okay, this is just for you. Just come into the spring. That's it. But they're only going to give me that 1 year, and I was like, hey, no, I want my second year paid for as well.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we'll give you your second year. And I remember it was Coach Turtle Thomas. He said, I'll give you your second year if you hit a 385, 25 home runs, and 85 RBIs. I'll give you your second year. And I kind of laughed. And I go, Coach, if I do that, I'm not coming back for my senior year. I'll get drafted. And he said, well, that's the whole point. And so, man, we had another guy named Gilbert Landistor that he was a pitcher at Alvin, and he went to Miami. And they kind of told him the same thing. Hey, man, credits don't go, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up coming back. And he said, man, they told me a bunch of lies. So that's when I wavered away from the University of Miami and just kind of said, okay, hey, let's kind of see what's local. Went on some trips with Lamar, McNeese, trying to think of the other ones. Those are the ones that kind of stand out. But ended up choosing McNeese. I'm glad. I mean, I loved it there.
Yeah.
Great place to play. Bunch of good friends that are still there. So we still talk to this day. And, I mean, it's a good environment. A lot of good people in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
So McNeese being in the Southland Conference, I do a lot of work with the conference office. They're based out of Frisco, but primarily I do a lot of basketball stuff with them for March Madness and the conference tournament. And McNeese built a brand new Legacy Center. I don't know if you've been there recently or seen it.
I have not seen it.
But it's amazing for a school of that size and not like a Power 5 school. Mm-hmm. They got a pretty sweet basketball, volleyball facility in there. It's amazing. Awesome. And so I've been to Lake Charles a lot over the last 3 years, and I'm a fan of it. I really enjoy going. Good place. So I believe it. And they've got a nice ballpark as well. Yeah,
I don't know about the blue turf, but it is what it is, right? I mean, I'm more of a, hey, let's, wherever dirt is needs to be orange, but hey, they got blue, kind of like Boise State, right?
Yeah.
So
Do you favor dirt fields over turf?
after, I didn't hardly play on any turf, and the turf that I did play on, it was the old stuff, like the old stuff at Dishfalk when we would play at Calallen, we would play there, and it was hot, it was real bouncy, it was fast. The only time I got to play on the newer stuff is playing softball,
Yeah.
but I would prefer probably turf because it doesn't have any bad hops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
From a player perspective, for sure, all day. No
Yeah.
bad hops ever. That's nice. I think it's kind of a disservice to the game of baseball not having any bad hops. That's just my opinion, though.
100%. And then, you think about it is we used to get judged also back in the day is how dirty was your uniform when you came off the field.
Yeah.
Now you come off the field, man, you're clean.
Yeah, you're good to go for the next day.
Yeah. So, but I mean, getting back to being a parent, turf was a lot better. We don't have to wash, we don't have to scrub the uniforms like we normally would, but yeah. So
Yeah.
I would prefer turf just for that reason.
Yeah. Your time in McNeese, I've heard a lot, and I was like I told you off camera. I did a lot of research beforehand trying to find stuff from your time at McNeese. I probably saw like 3 photos in all the searching that I did in one baseball program from like 2010 that had a little picture of you in it. But obviously, you were a great hitter, and you're known for being a hitting coach today. I know that later today you've got some groups coming in and you're teaching them some hitting stuff, but what kind of success did you have at McNeese in those 2 years? Because I understand that you got to participate in the home run derby in one of those years. It was one year, right?
Correct.
And yeah, just tell us about that and the success that you had, the experience you had getting to go to that home run derby and compete. And I'm sure that probably put you on a lot of people's radar too.
Sure. Actually, we go back to Alvin because that's kind of where it started.
Okay.
My freshman year, I did pretty well. I only hit like 4 home runs in high school. And then go to college, and I guess it's just maturity. I ended up hitting, a lot more. I ended up hitting 13 my first year, and then 19 my second year. My second year, I don't know what happened. I was insanely like off the chart. Don't know how I even do it. Like I can't really even fathom. You hit a 467 and 19 home runs in college at that JUCO in that conference. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how you could do that still, it's just, cause I try to remember, and I try to go back, and I can remember some of the hits and some of the home runs, but just hitting a 467, you have to be really consistent. Like, and it's just, so yeah, so it's kind of that's where it started. I was, that's where I started kind of getting some looks there. And then, going to McNeese, I kind of had an off year my junior year, hitting the low 300s, had 8 home runs, and it's funny because I tell people that, they're like, that's still good. But when you go from hitting that high to that low or lower, it plays on your mind for sure, just because baseball is such a mental game. And had a new coach come in that I absolutely love, Coach Butler. He's over to OU now.
Okay.
Kind of got my swing back. We did a lot of stuff in the fall, a lot of tee work, a lot of just getting through the ball, a lot of extension the other way. Went from hitting a 308 to 415 and 19 home runs again. Nice. So, and then so I was selected to that home run derby. It was actually at the College World Series is where it was at the old Rosenblatt. And it was, hey, you're on the bubble. If Nebraska gets in, you're in the home run derby. So there was a first baseman there. I can't think of his name. I think his last name was Johnson. He had 25 home runs that year. But if he was to make it to the World Series, he's not in the home run derby. Mm-hmm. So they were playing against Rice. They were in the Super Regional against Rice. And the guy pitching at Rice that last game was Philip Barzilla, who I played with at Alvin. So I'm like, man, I'm rooting for him, but I'm rooting against him at the same time, right? Because I wanted to go to the College World Series. I want him to go to the College World Series, but at the end of the day, we both can't go, right? It's going to be you or me, and I want it to be me. I'm just being selfish this time. Hey, I want to go, right? So Nebraska ends up winning that year, beating Rice. They go to the World Series. I'm in. I get to go to the home run derby, and I end up finishing second. in the home run derby. It was a blast. I remember talking to all the Rawlings guys because Rawlings was the one that put it on, and they said, "Hey, man, the wind blows out to left. Like you have a really good shot at winning this thing. And then if you win, it was a pretty good deal. If you win, you get a 1-year minor league contract with Rawlings. They buy all your bats, all your gloves. There was a bunch of stuff that went on with this. So I'm like, I'm going to win this thing, right? I'm going to try, and ended up getting second, but the wind actually changed and it blew from left to right that day. But man, I can remember that it was like it was yesterday. The first guy that came up, I think he ended up hitting 19 home runs that year. He was from a smaller school and he didn't hit any. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't let me be like the Piazza, right, of this JUCO or this home run derby here for baseball. And first swing, I hit a home run. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, the monkey's off my back right now. I'm just relaxed and end up hitting some and then getting into the finals and then get second.
What was the format? Was it you get 5 outs or, Yeah,
it was the old school. You get 10 outs.
Okay.
So, there wasn't the minute stuff like there is now. It was all just, hey, you get 10 outs. We had metal bats and we had wood bats.
Okay.
If you chose to use a wood bat, it was 1.5 home runs.
Oh.
And if you use a metal bat, it was just 1.
What'd you use?
I used metal. Yeah, because the wind was blowing in. So, but I did hit some shots. I'm not gonna lie, I had some good ones. They actually Rawlings gave us wood bats with Rawlings with the logo on it. A metal bat that Rawlings was come out with that year that we had to use. It's over there in the corner somewhere. And but they were hot. They were really hot. So, but when I got to the final round, my pitcher wasn't doing too well. He almost hit me a couple times. I think he was nervous. So I didn't. I was going in there. The guy that I was going against was a lefty from like northern Iowa State.
Okay.
And man, he just went off. So I kind of panicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like 6 or 7 home runs in the hole here. I got to come out. Like I got to. So I grabbed the wood bat and it just. I was trying to do way too much. So, but I guess 2nd out of 8 is not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. And you get the experience of being in Omaha, especially at the old Rosenblatt Stadium. Back in May, this company I work with out of Houston, where we do all this facility work in college athletics, we got to go to the current College World Series stadium, Charles Schwab Field now, formerly TD Ameritrade, and we got the tour of the cages on the inside, the locker rooms, and the whole setup and everything. And we did a video about the College World Series, and then we were supposed to go back in June during the actual event, but I ended up not getting to go back on that second part, which was fine because I got to go the first part and I saw all of the stadium and the underbelly of everything. Sure. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. But they talked a lot about the old Rosenblatt Stadium, so that's pretty cool hearing about it and the history of it and all that stuff. So it's cool that you got to hit some out there.
Oh, it was fun. I mean, it was pretty cool because we were mic'd up.
Really?
Yeah, we were mic'd up, so they were like, "Hey, try not to say any, terrible words out there." And of course, that was kind of tough whenever the pitcher almost hit you a couple times. And they had some mentors out there for us, and one was Lou Brock, Ozzie Smith, and Bob Gibson.
Okay.
They were all out there, so that was pretty cool to meet them. And I didn't want to be that guy to want an autograph, right? So I was like, I'm going to wait to the end, and not be that guy. And it was over, and I'm like, I'm going to go get my autographs, and they were gone. I was like, well, okay. I didn't get any autographs, but, I mean, what a fun time, I'll never forget. I was going into the dugout, and this kid asked me to sign his baseball. I said, yeah, throw me your baseball. And he throws me this baseball, and it looks like it straight from Sandlot. Laces coming out of the ball. I'm like, man. I was like, hey, hang on one second. And of course, Rawlings put it on, right? So I went down there to the bucket, and I got a brand new Rawlings ball with the Home Run Derby logo, and I signed it for him. I rolled him that ball, and I go, do you want this one back? And he goes, no. And then it was an absolute storm after that. Every kid in the stadium wanted a new ball. It was awesome, and I'll never forget that to this day. So just how that one little instance, right? And everybody's like, oh, he's giving away new baseballs. I'm like, no, I really wasn't, but I was trying to do a good deed. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Okay, so from there, You spend the 4 years at McNeese. What?
No, 2 years.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 4 years playing baseball, 2 years at McNeese. After your time at McNeese, what do you do next? And what are you thinking at the College World Series and kind of that next phase of life? What's going through your head?
Yeah, I got asked that question on the mic there at Rosenblatt. Hey, why weren't you? Because then the draft was during that time.
Okay.
Like you knew, hey, you're going to get drafted, while you were playing or while you're at the College World Series. I didn't get drafted, and man, so they asked me a question. He goes, "Hey, your numbers are phenomenal. Why were you not drafted?" I go, "I can't answer that question, but the only thing I can tell you is I performed. I thought I did a pretty good job, and why I didn't get drafted, I don't know." I did go to a couple of workouts with the Indians, which now are the Guardians, and the Reds. The Reds said, "Hey, man, we're going to draft you as a free agent," because the draft was still kind of going on.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we'll pick you up as a free agent. They brought the cross checker down. I hit with the wood bat for them. They're like, "Yeah, man, we like you. We're going to," and I never got a call. My coach got me on. Coach Butler got me on with an independent team out of Nebraska called the Lincoln Salt Dogs. I think they're called the Hawks now or something like that. But we played there in Lincoln at the University of Nebraska's field. Had a good time. I wasn't there for very long. They said, "Hey, fly up here. We need you pretty quick." So I was going to drive. They said, "No, fly." So I didn't have a vehicle. Was staying in a hotel room. And they told me, "Hey, you can have a host family. We'll set you up. You'll be good." So about 3 days into it, I'm like, "Hey, where's my host family at?" Because I just got a bill saying I owe $900 for the hotel room. And I said, "Look, coach," and I was talking to the manager, like, "I'm getting paid $750 a month. My rent is $900. This is not going to work. Like, I need more money, or I'm not going to pay to play when I'm a lot better than $750 a month. Because you got a guy that I took his spot. He's probably making he got up to like AA or whatever, so they get paid that amount. Whatever that was, he was getting paid $2,500, $3,000 a month, right? So he's like, "Well, we can't because you're a rookie." He said, "But if you stay," he said, "the way that you're hitting, you'll get picked up. You'll be in AA next year." I'm like, "Sure," along with all the other lies y'all been telling me, right? So they said, "Well, why don't you bring your fiance up here and she can work while you play baseball?" I go, "No, that ain't how this game works," right? So then I said, "Okay, I'm done. Give me my plane ticket. I'm going back home." So that was my career. Yeah, just kind of a cup of coffee and had a blast while I was there.
Yeah.
But reality starts hitting, when you're like, okay, you're 22 years old. Is this the life you're going to live for 10 years or however long it's going to take you to make it? So you're like, okay, hey, you need to grow up or do something. So I decided to grow up and be an adult.
Yeah.
So, and boom, now we're here. So
Yeah, now we're here.
yeah.
All right, so ultimately, you become a game warden like we touched on earlier. You come back to South Texas. What made you guys choose to come to Sinton specifically?
Nothing really drove us to Sinton. It was the opportunity of, so I got stationed out of the Game Warden Academy in Harris County.
Okay.
So we lived in Deer Park. That's why I like people, when you see where Blake's birthplace is, it's Clear Lake. So him and Clay both were there in Clear Lake. Finally, San Patricio County came open. We wanted Nueces County, so we were home with family in that county. But it wasn't open, but San Patricio was. So I was like, hey, county right next door, that's fine. Let's go. Right. Mm-hmm. So I transferred down. I live on a ranch for about 3 months to figure out where we're going to live. Jennifer and the boys are still in Deer Park. And man, they told me, my captain told me, hey, you can either live in two spots. You can live in Sinton or you can live in Portland. And in the back of my head, right, being from Calallen, I'm like, oh, I'm not living in Portland. Right. But, now it's like, whatever. Right. So, but that was my first thought. No, I'm not, I can't live in Portland. Right. So I was like, okay, well, Sinton it is. I ended up finding a house in Odom, and they're like, no, Sinton. Okay, look, Captain, it's only 7 miles. No, Sinton. Okay. So I ended up finding a house in town. It was about the only one that was for sale at that time, because that was back in 2008.
Okay.
March of 2008. And I was like, man, there's like nothing. There's like nothing here. So we ended up buying that house, moved everybody down. And then that's the rest is history. It's just, it's kind of just blew up from there.
Yeah. And how long have you guys been here out on this property?
Since probably 2014, I think.
Okay.
Is when we moved here.
Okay, so about 10 years.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it goes by fast.
Okay, so let's talk about the Sandcrabs. I think a couple years ago, maybe when I think the first time that Sinton made it to state of the multi-year run that they've been on, everything started clicking in my mind, because when I was growing up playing, I was playing the high school divisions and the older divisions, and I would see these little kids running around Sandcrabs, and I would see y'all everywhere, every weekend. Now looking back on it, knowing it was you guys, and now seeing that y'all made it to state and won a state championship, I understand, and it all clicks now. That's what you're doing. You're developing this group. And my understanding is that the high school team that won the state championship in Sinton is largely that same group of kids from the Sandcrabs. Correct. So tell us about the history of the Sandcrabs, where you got the idea, how it started. Did you have to beg Blake to play baseball? Was he always interested? I mean, just give us everything about the Sandcrabs.
So Sandcrabs started with my old coach, who's now the scout, Tyler Wilt. And I called him. So let's go back to whenever Blake was little, right? We were living there in Deer Park, and man, he was always out in the front yard, always throwing the ball. The neighbors bought him his first glove, his first bat, and I'll never forget. They said, "Hey, this is his first start, and he's going to make it to be a pro baseball player." I'll never forget. I was like, "Okay, yeah." I kind of like laughed, right? Yeah. He's 2, 3, whatever he is, right? So I remember it was a Nike bat, a Rawlings glove. Got him for his birthday, and then he was always outside playing baseball. I called Tyler up and said, "Hey, I want to start the Sandcrabs back. Do you mind if I use the Sandcrabs name?" And he laughed. He goes, "You can use whatever you want. That's nothing." It says, "Yeah, but it would be an honor." I said, "But Coach, I'm not going to use our logo." We had this. Sorry, Tyler, but he loves it, right? And it was this. I wish I still had the hat, but it was this crab, funny looking crab, holding a bat and a ball, right, in its pinchers, and goofy as all get out, right? But he loved it, so I was like, "Hey, all right, cool, whatever." We were black and red. So the only thing I changed about it was a logo. I took the South Carolina logo, the SC, and did it maroon and black, because there wasn't very many maroon select teams out there. It was like everybody was red, everybody was blue, or it was. So I wanted something different. And so I was talking to him about it, and I said, "Okay, hey, my next question to you is, what's the fastest way to get Blake to the major leagues?" He's like, "Well, he's like 3 or 4. I said, I get it. But what's the fastest way for okay, let's just call it a person to get to the major leagues? They said a left-handed hitting catcher. Got it. So both the boys were both catchers. Clay was too hard-headed. He wouldn't hit left-handed. Only Blake did. And Clay ended up outgrowing the position pretty quick, so that's why he's not a catcher. But so we had Blake as a catcher. Rylan was a catcher. Of course, Renee wasn't because he's left-handed. Jaquay wanted to be a catcher. Trust me, I'll never forget. We were in Austin. We were in Austin at a Super NIT in the wintertime. And he's like, "Coach, can I catch?" I go, "You don't even have a mitt." And he comes up to me and he's got a left-handed mitt. So I said, "Okay, you can catch." So I put him in as a catcher one game, and it was comical. But I mean, just good athletes, right? We were lucky to be in Sinton at that time. to have those parents here with us that had great athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Riley and Renee were they were 1 year ahead of us. So when I started the Sandcrabs, I started with everybody it was an age above us and then Blake's age.
Mm-hmm.
Because there wasn't enough to make a complete team.
Yeah.
Right. So we had Rylan, Renee, Jaquay, Blake, and Jaquay came from whenever we played here in Sinton at the Little League. He was on our Little League team that first year that we played. And so that's how I was like, man, this kid can play, right? I mean, we were 5. I knew I was like something special about him, right? So his parents were a little hesitant. He didn't start off with us, right? They were like, man, we're not sure, because I told him, I said, man, this select baseball, it's a big deal. It's like a huge commitment, right? So they were kind of, I'm not sure. Finally convinced them, right? We played a tournament here in Sinton. I said, man, can Jaquay please play with us? They said, yeah, so you can play. So then, man, I'll never forget. Played with us, and then he loved it after that.
Mm-hmm.
So then they joined the Sandcrabs. We had kids from Corpus on our team, just because you can't find, to be competitive, you couldn't find just everybody from Sinton.
Yeah.
But the core group was from Sinton, right? Then we kind of got out of T-ball. We rolled into a coach pitch, and we played in Portland. I don't remember if it was coach pitch or if it was kid pitch. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It was coach pitch, because Blake was 6, Jaquay was 6, and Rylan Renee were 7. And I had Tristan, not Tristan Hansen, but another Tristan that was a little bit older. I think he was 8. I try to make as much Sinton kids as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And I went to the board over there. I begged, hey, can we play? I'll bring a team in. You don't have to buy us any uniforms. I'll pay the entry fee, whatever, but just let my team in. Okay. It was not. I made so many enemies in Portland after that, because we went in there and I'm like, okay, we're gonna be pretty good. We'll be pretty competitive, but we were beating people like 20-0. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't know, So that's kind of when it took off. I was like, okay, we got something special here, right? So then we kind of, Rylan Renee went with Mike Hernandez with Slam.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great team. We would always practice together, always getting ready for World Series together. And so the 6U team rolls in, right? I got kids from Corpus, from Calallen, from Sinton. I'm trying to think of what other surrounding towns, but we're trying to find something local, and everybody would go to Sulphur, Louisiana for the World Series. I was like, man, I want to do something different, right? We were playing T-ball at the time, getting into the coach pitch, playing 8U teams at the age of 6. And Trey Salinas was a coach with me. And his son Landon played. And Trey goes, hey, why don't we try to find a coach pitch World Series, a 6U coach pitch World Series? I'm like, all right. The only one was in McDonough, Georgia. And so I tell the parents, hey, we're going to go to McDonough, Georgia to go play a World Series. And they looked at me like, we're going to do what? And I'll never forget, people were telling me, you're going to take a group of 6-year-olds all the way to Georgia to lose. And it lit a fire in me. I'm like, we're not going to lose. We're going to be ready. We're going to be, they're like, man, y'all going with Georgia. I'm like, and? So we raised a whole bunch of money so we could all go. That's kind of what we do. We'd raise a ton of money so no one had to pay too much out of pocket. Mm-hmm. Raise money, and we go to McDonough, Georgia, and had an absolute blast. Those guys were fast in Georgia. They were fast. I remember Blake was playing shortstop. A ball was hit to him. He fields it cleanly, throws it to first cleanly, and the guy beats it out. And I'm like, this is different, right? So we ended up getting third. There at the World Series. I think there was, I don't know how many teams there was, but it was very competitive. Boys had a great time. It was their first getting out of Sinton, playing baseball, and getting on an airplane.
Yeah.
We made them grow up pretty quick. Like we had Jack Bell.
Yeah.
Played with us. Jack Bell's dad was a huge contributor to us. He was always there doing the book. I mean, whatever we needed, he was there for help, right? He was our, everybody loved Buddy, right? Everybody loved him. So we go there, had a blast. We'd make the boys get all their bags off the little conveyor belt. Hey, you're growing up, right? So they got these big old bags walking to the airport, and then it just kind of grew from there. Every year we would always go to somewhere big. 7, we went to Orange Beach in Alabama. Coach Pitch World Series, 7U. We ended up winning that one. And then 8U, we said, hey, we can't do Coach Pitch. We played one tournament in Coach Pitch for 8U, and we almost hurt their third baseman. Mason Vasquez from Calallen hit a line drive at a third baseman, and he couldn't even get his glove up in time before it was in the outfield. And I said, it was right by his head. I'm like, we're hitting the ball too hard. Like, we need to move up, right? So we ended up doing kid pitch, playing up in the 9s and the 10s at 8. Houston was a blast, right? We would go up to Houston. Everybody thought that the Sandcrabs were homeschooled. They said, hey, what academy do y'all go to? Like, is it Sandcrab Academy? I'm like, no, we go to public school. There ain't no way to have your kids this good. I'm like, we just practice. So that was the big, it was comical. We'd show up and be like, oh, that's that homeschool team. No, we weren't. So we were beating those guys left and right up there. It was a blast. We'd always make it to the championship game, winning a bunch. So 8U, we go to Riverside, California, and play in the Cecil Fielder 8U Kid Pitch World Series. And that's where we run into those California teams. The San Diego Shows, the MVP Hustle, all those big name teams, and just little old Sandcrabs going in there playing against them and beating them. We played one heck of a great game in the semifinal. We ended up losing, so we get third. And we played against San Diego Show. It was 6 innings long in an hour and 15 minutes. Blake and Jaquay both pitched 3 innings each. We only gave up 3 hits. They gave up 3 hits, and the score was 1-0 in 8U Kid Pitch.
Wow.
Crazy. I can still remember that game. We played on a Indian reservation there. Beautiful fields. Yeah, it was just great. Then we get to 9U, and we end up going to 2 World Series that year. We go to Florida at the end to the Elite 32 is what they used to call it. Now it's just the Elite World Series there at Disney. And then before that, we went to the Travel Ball Sports World Series in Georgia. And that's where we ran into all the McNeese Grissom Baseball Academy, the Cincy Flames from Cincy, Ohio. On the Cincy Flames, there was Colt Emerson, who is now with the Marlins. He was drafted in the first round with Blake. We played this team. I don't know what team that Dylan was on, but Dylan is now at Mississippi State.
Okay.
So we kind of made friends with all these guys, and their parents and the kids, and then we see them later in life. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Playing with USA Baseball, they all kind of came back together.
Yeah.
At the end. But we ended up winning that World Series. We had a knockout, drag-out fight with the McNeese Grissom Baseball Academy. It was loud. It was fun. And I think that's kind of where the boys started getting that we can play in big events, and it's not going to bother us too much. I had one kid from Houston that year named Boots Landry, who was at A&M last year. Now he's at Tulane. Great family. And his dad actually found me at the World Series in Riverside, California. They were 8. Their team named Hustle out of Houston was there. He was playing up. And so he found me. He's like, hey, I want Boots to play on y'all's team because of his age. Sure. I'm like, who's this crazy parent come finding me in California, and they're from Houston. So he was sending me videos. I'm like, okay, yeah, this kid can play a little bit. So that's where we kind of got that one player from out of town. Boots Landry, great. He hit the middle of the lineup for us, pitched for us, played third, played first, whatever we needed him to do. And everybody just fell in love with Boots, right? It was pretty cool being the, like for better words, a kid from the outside, right? And everybody just taking him in. He was great. So that's where I was like, okay, maybe we can get some kids from out of town, right? And just have one here and one there and make this pretty big. So then get to the age of 10. Let's go back to that World Series. So we ended up winning that World Series in Georgia.
Nice.
Yeah, huge tournament. We ended up winning that. So then now we got to go to Florida. And we ended up getting second in Florida. We played, I think it was San Diego Show or somebody in the championship game. Justin Lampkin pitched that game. No. He didn't. He pitched the game before to get us there. Jaquay pitched that game. Jaquay pitched the championship game. Yeah, so we had a lot of talent. We had Justin Lampkin. We had, kids from that played college baseball. High school baseball here and have gone off to college, but not as the big names of Ryland and Jaquay going to Texas and Justin going to A&M. But these other kids, they were great baseball players.
Yeah,
and it's funny because you look back and these kids mature differently than everybody else, right? Like every kid's going to mature differently than the other one. So we had some that were young that didn't mature as fast as the others, and it kind of evened out throughout the years, right? Because some of them matured a little sooner than others. Like, you got kids like Nathan Reyes, right, who matured a little bit sooner, and he was a huge role guy for us in Georgia there. He was hitting a bunch of home runs, at that age of 9 and 10, and he was over at King. That's where he played at. Alejandro, AG, he was at Vets. He was our catcher for Vets. Great athlete. He helped us out a ton, and then, but, the older you get, your body changes, right? So, but we had a lot of younger guys in there, like Blake was one of the smaller ones. Jack Bell was one of the smaller ones, and those guys just matured a little bit later. But our team was great. It was mixed with the right kind of guys that could help out in any situation. But we go to 10, and I'm trying to think where we went to 10 at. I know we went to Indiana. I want to say it was at the age of 10. That's where we picked up a little bit more. I picked up a kid from Louisiana. He was out of Lake Charles there. Cameron was his name. He was a great great catcher for us. Pitched a little bit, played outfield. Another left-handed hitting guy. We had like 7 lefties in the lineup. It was crazy. So I know we go to Indiana that year. Oh, we went back to Georgia to the travel ball. We didn't do too well for some reason. It was a weird deal. We ended up picking up a kid from New Jersey. One from New Jersey, one from Florida. The New Jersey, his name is AJ Gracia, and he's actually at Duke right now playing.
Okay.
And he was a phenomenal center fielder. We just need a couple guys, and I think something maybe with the parents kind of didn't like it, that I brought those guys in, but I was just trying to help our guys win a little bit. But they didn't take too kindly to us. I think we had a little bit of turmoil that year. And then going into that 11U age, I think they kind of understood, hey, we're going to change things up a little bit. So I really dipped into getting guys. Like we got Tracer Lopez out of Rosebud, who's now at Texas Tech. Got him. We got a couple of kids from all over the place. Got one from Kansas, Ashton Larson. He's now at LSU. And everybody just seemed to be on the same page that year. Like it was that year, the age of 12, we all have the same common goal. We want to have fun and we want to win. And so we had a great time at 11. I don't remember where we went at the age of 11, but 12U was a really big year for those boys because we went to New York twice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We had a pitcher out of Tennessee named Ethan Robinson, who's now at Vanderbilt. At the age of 12, he was 82 miles an hour, 6'2". It was almost comical, right? Because we had so many great athletes and so many good pitchers. All I needed them for was to pitch the championship games. It was awesome. So we knew, like, every time we'd get to the championship game, we were pretty much guaranteed to win.
All you had to do was put a run up.
That's it. You know. So we go to Cooperstown at the age of 12. We end up finishing third there. I thought we were going to be able to win that thing. But Cooperstown's a really cool experience for the boys. You know, they stay at the little houses over there. And so we do that. I think we end up hitting 49 home runs as a team. I'll never forget, Jaquay was up to bat, and we're playing a team out of New Hampshire. And Jaquay hits a pop-up, and it's a big league pop-up. And it's behind shortstop, but shallow left field, center field area, right? And I remember that coach, it was high, and those kids were trying to get underneath it, and all of a sudden I hear them, get out of the way. I'm like, get out of the way. You should catch the ball. And they let it drop, and he's like, I don't want anybody to get hurt. That's what the coach said, right? And I'm like, okay. But we ended up being that team like 27-0. It was. We knew we would face a team like that at some point because there's 104 teams there. So we knew we would face one of those, and at that point we were trying to make outs and going up, hitting the opposite, and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good time, but we ended up finishing third there, and then we went to go to NYBC, which is I think it was on ABC or CBS, something like that.
Yeah.
We kind of go there. We kind of had a little hiccup there. We had our big guy that from Tennessee that had a little hurt elbow, so he couldn't go. So we kind of roll in there, kind of limping on a wheel, if you call it, you know. But we had a really good team, and everybody played well. Mason and Jaquay pitched the first game against Tri-State Arsenal, and we ended up losing to those guys the first game, I think by 1 run. It was a really good game. They had their ace on the mound, and he's at Rutgers now. But great deal. We ended up losing to a Kangaroo Court out of Florida in an extra inning game. Fun. I mean, just had a blast. After that game, you know, okay, hey, we're going home. So we ended up seeing them in the airport. And that coach there who's Aiden Smith's dad, who got drafted at the same year as Blake with the Phillies. He was drafted in the first round with the Phillies. His dad came up to me and was like, man, I don't know what you did to get these boys ready to play, but that was the most intense game I've ever played. And it's 12U baseball, right? So I'm like, I don't know. But, you know, I didn't like losing, but, you know, it is what it is. But it was always good games, intense. I still look back at it going, how did we get those boys that competitive at that young age? And the only thing I can think of is like when we would practice and you know, parents were like, hey, they're only 8, they're only 9. And I said, no, so it doesn't matter that they're 8 or 9, right? I'm going to teach them the college way of baseball. And, you know, like for better words, if you made a mistake, hey, we're going to run for it. Right? Or we would always play a game there at the end of practice. Hey, we're going to do in and out. You need to get, we would call it 27 outs, right? But I would break it down to, hey, 18 outs if you play 6 innings, but you only get 4 baseballs to play with. If you make 4 mistakes, we run triangles. So that's how I added pressure to the whole practice thing. And we would, you know, hit fungo to them, and they would have to make an out or whatever. If they made an error, 1 ball gets thrown out. So sometimes they would run through it phenomenal and be like, yeah, great. Sometimes it was those days where we 4 errors right off the bat, and we're running, you know, and every time you'd run, boom, let's start all over again. And so that's how we'd add pressure in the practices, and I think that's helped them in games and the big pressure games, and then just leading up to going into high school.
Yeah.
So
what was the last year that the Sandcrabs played together with that core group? Was it right before high school?
Yeah, it was the age of 13 is whenever it kind of dissolved.
Okay.
The Sandcrabs had we had 12 teams at that time. We were going pretty good. And then it dissolved, and then we rolled over to the Hooks. The Hooks lasted for a couple of years. And then that's when we got into 12. And then that's whenever Blake went on to play in their high school program. And, because I knew that time was coming. Hey, I'm pretty good at getting these little kids ready, but I don't have the connections to call up a college coach to say, hey, man, you look at this guy.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't in that world of, the college scouts and recruits and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm definitely going to have to turn these guys over at some point to that. And so we chose 12, and we went from there. And that's when we made a little team for Clay's age group with 12. And so like those guys, Julian and all those guys, they all played with Clay. And Clay's age group, they weren't. I didn't go out and go get a whole bunch of kids like what we did. I tried to, but it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
As with Blake's team, but I had kids from Calallen. Some of them have come over now to Sinton, like Keldon Kemp.
Mm-hmm.
He played with us since he's been 4. Julian, Clay. I'm trying to think of those other guys, but they all play together.
Was there any chance that with that first group of Sandcrabs that Lampkin came to Sinton? Did y'all try to get him?
Yes, I tried. People are going to be like, yeah, I knew it. So I tried to get Jeff to move him over.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get Buddy to move Jack over.
Mm-hmm.
We actually found Buddy a house. It was close. It was close to getting Jack over here. A lot closer than getting Justin.
Yeah.
But I tried. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, who wouldn't want, right, to have that big of a team?
Yeah.
I mean, I even tried on Clay's age group to get. There's a kid over at, I think he's, I don't know if he's still at Vets or if he's at Ray, but DJ Garcia.
Yeah.
Try to get them to come over. I mean, who doesn't do that kind of stuff, right? I mean, if I sat here and said, no, we didn't, I'd be lying to you. I'm not going to lie to you, right? I think everybody kind of talks about that, right? Hey, let's try to form a team and try to go win a state championship. And lucky for us, with Rylan, Renee, and Blake and Jaquay, they were already here.
Yeah.
Right? A couple more pieces, yeah, I think we could have won 2 or 3 titles, but I mean, those guys were good. There ain't no doubt about it. Those guys, Cade McCoy, I mean, he played with us there towards the later of the Sandcrabs and into the Hooks, and great job. I mean, I'll never forget, we were playing in a tournament. I think we were 13, playing in a 14U tournament there at Tomball, and we're out of pitching. And so I walk up to the plate, and it's 9:00 at night on a Sunday. The kids got to go to school the next day. So we roll up, and I go, hey, Coach, can we flip to see who wins? Because we got to go. And I thought he was going to, fight me right there at home plate. I'm like, oh, sorry. The rings don't mean anything to us. We've played enough baseball, flip of a coin. Or you can say you won and we'll go home. No, we want to play. I said, okay, that's fine. So we ended up playing, and I said, Caden, you're pitching. He's like, Coach, I don't pitch. Well, you are tonight. And so he pitched a heck of a game. We ended up 10-run rolling them, and we go home. God. It was fun. It was like, it was crazy. So, yeah. So that's kind of how everything went down.
That's awesome. I love that. So what's it like for you to see that core group make it to state? With that core group specifically, 3 years to win a state championship and to just have some of the best teams to come out of South Texas.
Gives me the absolute chills.
Really?
Just awesome. I mean, back in the day, like when we were starting all this stuff, would I would have ever fathomed that this would happen? Absolutely not, right? But probably about the age of 12, 13, I'm like, holy smokes, this is going to be something good. It's going to be good. And then they would all come over here and hit. We would sit down and I would look at scouting reports from the opposing pitchers. Hey, this is what they're going to throw you. I would try to sit as close as I could to the on-deck circle to try to fix anything that was going on during games. Sorry, Adrian. But, I would try to do that as much as possible just to get every advantage we possibly could to win. And if it was, I remember telling Renee something during that state game. It was something about, I think it was when maybe the lefty was pitching against us, against Rusk when we lost. I said, hey, you need to be looking for this pitch. Just so it was that kind of stuff that I was trying to help him out with. At that point, those guys are still young. They still kind of need to be told, hey, what's happening, what's going on. So I just try to do that as much as I possibly could to make them be successful. But it was a very special group. So, but it still gives me a chill just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always laugh and make fun of each other, and it's fun.
Yeah. And then it's got to be awesome seeing them win the state championship and go 37-1 and just dominate everybody.
That's it. Yeah. And that was with the Sandcrabs too. Is like, I remember, Buddy Bell told me one year, when at the age of 9, I don't know, I didn't realize how many games we played, but we were 87-9. I was like, we played how many games? I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, we were like 87-9. I was like, holy smokes.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's when I was like, okay, let's tone it back a little bit, because I don't want to burn these kids out.
Yeah.
So we kind of started toning it down a little bit later in life that they got. But to just see those guys and see the trust that they gave me was awesome.
Yeah.
I could probably tell them, hey, I need you to hit off your left foot, off of 1 foot, and it'll be successful. And they would try it, right? But it's just cool to see that, to see that trust in me that, hey, I'm going to give you everything I got as long as you give me everything you got, right? So, I loved it. Probably cried with them whenever they lost and cheered whenever they won.
Well, there you guys have it. The history of the Sandcrabs, that core group playing there at Sinton. I got one more main question for you, and then anything else we want to touch on before you start your lessons here, we can touch on quickly. But what was it like for you? I guess when I know that when we talked about potentially sitting down and doing a podcast, I remember you mentioning, whether in previous conversations or not, that there was a specific moment or time when you kind of looked at Blake and realized, oh, there's kind of something special here and he could really be something. When was that, and what was that realization like of you don't want to push him too hard, but at the same time you want to help him make it to the big leagues? And
right.
It's no secret, drafted in the first round by the Royals in 23, goes 8th overall. I mean, tell us about that when you realize, he could really be something.
There was 2 incidents. One, and people are going to laugh at me on this one. One was at the age of 8. We were playing a team out of San Antonio. I can't think of the team, but it's Joaquin Martinez's organization. His son, Sevi. Really, really good people, really good player, really good family. It was like San Antonio Speed Extreme Yankees or something like that, right? And so Blake is playing shortstop. Maybe it was 7, playing shortstop, and there was a blooper that was hit behind third base, shallow left field on the line. And at that young age, he turns over his right shoulder and he runs the ball down and dives and makes this catch. And I look, I'm like, y'all see that? And they're like, yeah, we saw it. I'm like, okay. Something a little different. And they're like, yeah, for sure. Next play, the kid hits like a little chopper that goes over the pitcher's head, kind of like in between the pitcher's mound and shortstop and second base. And he runs up and he kind of like bare hands it and just flips it over to first base. And I'm like, what just happened here? And then another play right after that, he makes another one, and I'm going, wow, he's different. I mean, he would just wear the uniform a little bit differently. And I was like, man, that was pretty special, right? But then I was like, he's 8 or he's 7. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he had a great day. And then, you know, later in life, he went, he didn't grow too much. And I was like, okay, well, he's going to be a small kid, you know? So, but then COVID hit and he got into the weights. He grew, just maturity, just God-given, okay, this is your time to grow. And then he got on the mound and was playing for 12 with Coach Knox. They were in Oklahoma. And I'm sitting here at the house, and Jennifer's with Blake in Oklahoma, and he's on the mound because he told Coach Knox, hey, if you ever need anybody to close the game out, I'll close. And Knox goes, you can't pitch. He goes, I can pitch a little bit. And he gets on the mound, and I'm watching the game changer, whatever was on it. It was 88, 88, 89, 89, 90, 91, 91. I'm like, okay, we got a little something special here.
And that was what, his freshman year, sophomore year?
Sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah. Sophomore year, and then he goes to one of those World Series up there in Melissa, and he goes like something just off the charts, like 17 for 20 with a wood bat.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when everything started happening. You know, he hits, he gets on the mound, and he's 16 years old and throwing 90s. And, yeah, he got to up there in the 90s pretty quick, fast. Just being mature and, you know, growing at the right time.
Yeah.
So all the kids that are out there that are small, just be patient. Just be
Yeah.
patient. It'll happen.
Yeah. And put the work in,
That's
obviously. Obviously, all that, that next period of years, you go on college visits, you're going all over the place playing Team USA, Future Stars Series, showcases, draft, combine, all this different stuff. And I remember whenever y'all sat down with Coach Knox on draft day, and y'all were talking about how quickly you guys are up and moving after the state tournament, it was just nonstop for y'all.
It was. And, you know, that was Blake. That was all Blake. He wanted to do it. That was his big summer. He said, I want to do every event I possibly can. And, his agent, Joe, was like, well, let's kind of see what your body does. And Blake's like, no, I want to do it. You know, I was a little worried about that. It might expose him a little bit. That, you know, if he does have, you know, his body starts breaking down and he starts having some bad games, and, you know, how he's going to bounce back from that. You know, just being a dad, being like, oh my gosh, hey, slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I never told him no, you know, because I wanted him to do what he wanted to do. And he went out and he did everything you possibly could on that draft circuit, I call it. And he did well. He did extremely well.
Yeah.
So kudos to Blake for that. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, cool. Last thing I got for you. Draft day 2023. It's been, close to a year and a half. How proud were you whenever you realize he's going in the first round and you hear his name called? What's that like?
An understatement. It's tough. The hardest day for a dad. To be able to see that enjoyment.
With the 8th pick of the 2023 draft, the Kansas City Royals select Blake Mitchell.
Just for all the hard work that he put into it. To see him succeed. It's tough. I wouldn't call it tough. It was probably harder on me than anybody else. Probably me and Jennifer. But just a sense of pride for him that he did it. So, but still to this day, he still amazes us in everything that he does. Sorry.
It's all right. I love it. Take your time. I can imagine. I know that the whole community loves you guys, the Mitchell family, loves Blake, loves Clay. And you guys got a lot of support here, and not only in Sinton, but in South Texas. And, you know, we're keeping up with you guys. And obviously getting drafted is one thing and making it in that sense. But he's got that minor league grind coming up, right? You got to put the work in to get to the show now.
That's it. And, I worry about him every day. But he knows what he's got to do. He knows the work that he's got to put in for it. And now we just got to get Clay off to college.
Yeah. Clay hoping to play football in college. So stay tuned for that. Very excited there.
For sure.
Another stud right there on the football side of things. But I know you got some lessons here, and I appreciate your time. I really do. And I'm glad that I've gotten to know you guys over the last few years, and we love running into each other. And another unspoken MVP in all of this that, we talk about all these things, and the other half of the Mitchell family is Jennifer.
Yeah.
The other MVP in all this. And
100%.
Everyone who knows her, she's awesome. And,
She holds us all together.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I appreciate your time, and we'll get together sometime soon again in the future, and I'm sure I'll see you out at some baseball games and just around town. So,
and don't ask me those hard questions. that one always chokes me up.
Well, unless you want to say anything else, we'll call it an interview, and we'll call it an episode. You got anything else?
No, I greatly appreciate you coming out here. I enjoyed it. There's still a lot to talk about,
Yeah.
So
definitely.
But yeah, hopefully you want to do this again, I'll be more than happy to.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick too, your training and hitting here, is that public? Do people, if someone wanted to get hitting instruction from you, how would they do that, and kind of what's your availability on that side?
Availability is pretty much zero right now. Because everybody that is hitting with me kind of sticks.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go, like, I've been hitting with guys now for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I love it. It kind of gets me away from that law enforcement side of it. Yeah, but I mean, if I ever have an opening, y'all just shoot me a text. And I mean, my number's out there. If anybody needs anything, just let me know. And what's cool about me is on the hitting lessons is like whenever kids are at a game and something's going on, parents will send me their videos, their swings, and I'll try to fix it right then and there.
Yeah.
So, it's something a little bit different than that. I don't know who else does it, but, that's something else that I do for them.
Cool. And then last thing, I noticed this, is it M4 training?
Yep.
Is that you, or who's that?
So M4 is me, Jennifer, Blake, and Clay.
Okay.
Right. The logo is Blake on there.
Okay.
Right. That's his little trademark that he does when he touches his helmet and puts the bat out.
Yeah. I remember.
Yep. So I kind of incorporated all that and said, hey, I want a little logo, and that's what I came up with.
Awesome. I love it. Well, everybody, Kevin Mitchell, the Mitchell family. Hopefully we'll get Blake on sometime in the off season, but until then, this has been great. I appreciate it again.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
Enjoy your lessons, everyone. Stay tuned for the next episode. I hope you're enjoying, as the holidays are coming up, I hope you enjoy the holiday season. And yeah, we're excited to keep putting stuff out. So in the meantime, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, everybody.